Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to go over some of my plans for my 2021 garden. Today is a cold, breezy, snowy, blizzard day here in the North Country, so it makes a perfect day to sit inside and enjoy planning for the 2021 garden season. For me, I keep a garden notebook, that way I can track everything and remember what happened last year, know when I need to start seeds, keep any notes so that I can look back on it in case something comes up or if I have a question. I also draw out my space so that I know where I'm going to put stuff, when I'm going to put some stuff in, things like that. So by opening up my garden book, I can kind of see what I already have written out for plans. In my 2021 garden, I plan to have beans, both green and yellow, summer squash, zucchini, onions, carrots, some yellow ones, some orange ones, and some purple ones, cauliflower, broccoli, celery, cucumbers, both pickling and fresh eating, kale, spinach, kohlrabi, some lettuce, peas, potatoes, which I'm really hoping I can get a hold of some Adirondack blue potatoes this year. They have like a purple flesh to them and they just look really cool. Tomatoes, mostly large red slicing varieties. I do a little bit of sauce and then I like to can some tomatoes. I really like canned tomatoes in the winter. Cherry tomatoes, which I love. I'm going to have, my goal this year is to have it very colorful. So I have a plan for some super sweets, which are red, and some indigo cherries, which have a purple hue to them. I of course always have glads in my garden. Even though they're in the vegetable garden, I give them a lot of space because they're my favorite flower and I just love being able to grow a ton of glads. I usually have Brussels sprouts and beets and radishes as well. So that's what I'm planning to put into my garden. I have a 25 by 50 foot area to work in. By the time I take off ends on both ends of the garden, I'm usually down to about 22 feet of growing space. In each row, I have 14 rows to grow in, plus a 3 foot by 22 foot long bed where I do the cucumbers and the zucchini and the squash. This is my garden plan for the 2021 growing season. To start out, my garden is 25 feet wide by 50 feet long. It has a 6 foot fence all the way around it because we have a lot of deer here and deer are both curious and destructive. My gate to get in the garden is over here. I then have 3 rows of glads when I first come into the garden. I love gladiolus, they're my favorite flower. Last year I planted somewhere around 300 and 350 glad bulbs, and I must have had over 100 bouquets to be able to enjoy in the house and share with neighbors and friends. It was awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that again this year. Then I'm going to have my 2 rows of tomato trellises. What I do is I follow Roots and Refuge Farm. Jessica uses cattle panels to trellis her tomatoes up. And after seeing it, I figured it would be something really cool to try, and it works awesome. As long as you keep up with pruning, I'd say this is probably the best way to grow tomatoes, as long as they're a variety that can be pruned on, so as long as they're not a determinate variety. Cherry tomatoes, that'll be one of these rows. You don't have to prune those as heavily. Actually, you probably shouldn't prune them as heavily. I pruned them until they were about halfway up the trellis, just to keep them from turning into crazy cousin-it bush monsters. So that's my plan again this year. Then I have a row of greens. I'll probably have my spinach and my kale in there. Then the peas, and I'll do multiple plantings of the peas so that they're not ready all at once. Potatoes will be next. I probably will put some of my kohlrabi in with the potatoes. One of the rows, hopefully if I can get a hold of some of the blue Adirondack potatoes, Then one of the rows will be the blue potatoes. Then I have Brussels sprouts, beets, and radishes. So I'll do probably 8 plants of Brussels sprouts. My beets and my radishes will be done by midway through season, so I could even put kohlrabi here or add additional carrots in. Celery, and I'll probably only do about 1/3 of a row of celery just because it's a lot of celery to use through. But I have found that celery is very frost hardy when it comes to the end of the growing season. So I was actually still harvesting celery well past our first frost last year to use fresh in salads. It was great. Carrots, I'll probably have 3/4 of the row filled up with carrots, and I'll do, like I said, multiple colors. Onions, I'll have a whole row of onions. I'll do broccoli and cauliflower. These did not work out well for me last year, but I think it had to do with the heat. It got really hot really fast, which is slightly abnormal for us. And we didn't have very much rain. So I'm hoping with more nitrogen in the soil, because these are very nitrogen hungry plants, and if it stays a little bit cooler, not cold, but cooler, than it did last year when we started into summer, these will be more successful this year. Then I have beans. I'll have green beans and yellow beans, and what I'll do is I'll do multiple plantings of these. So I'll plant like the first quarter of the row, and then the first quarter of the row here, and then come back about 2 or 3 weeks later and plant the next quarter, just so that everything's not ready at once. Then I'll have zucchinis, cucumbers, and summer squash. The cucumbers I grow on a trellis as well, and that also comes from Roots and Refuge Farm. It works really, really well to keep the foliage off the ground, and I dealt with a lot less powdery mildew because of it. That's my layout for 2021. I'm really looking forward to it. Right now, there's like 4.5 feet of snow in the garden, but once it melts away, all of this will take plan, and it's going to be awesome. As to what I'm going to be ordering this year, everything I'm ordering from Johnny's. I have a lot of seeds left over from last year from only growing small amounts because there's only 2 of us, and some of it I was just trying out to see if I actually enjoyed it. So I still have a lot of things left over. I am going to order some more onion seeds, tomato seeds, some cherry tomatoes just because I'm looking for some different variety, and then carrots because I need more carrot seeds. I ran out of those. But Johnny Select Seeds is who I plan to order all my seeds from. I've placed my order, so I'm just kind of waiting for it to show up. So that is my list of what I plan to grow in my garden this year and kind of the layout that I've thought up at this point. A lot of it's just going based off my own personal experience and some things that I know I should keep a little bit farther apart just for pest control purposes. Everything worked out really, really well for me last year, and I'm excited to see how the garden takes shape this year. Last year we dealt with quite a bit of dry weather, and my soil didn't have quite enough nitrogen in it, but everything still did really well. So I'm hoping if I can amend the soil, and if we have a little bit better of a year for rainfall, we can be a little bit farther ahead this next year. Till then, please subscribe, like this video, and join us for 2021's gardening season.